Painting a wall model can be a bit daunting and time-consuming. That's why sometimes you can opt out of painting the armor and concentrate on other parts to enhance your model without taking weeks of your time. One of the things I dislike is how plasticky the inner frames can be, especially on high grades. Today we will see how to paint the frames to look a lot better. Buckle up and let's start! Here we have our old friend, the High Nu, which, despite being an entry grade, has some amazing details that can be lost without some work done. Let's see how we can improve it. By the way, this video is a continuation of my painting guide. If you did not see it, I suggest pausing and take a look at it. I will not go again through the tools you need and some of the techniques. I will also put the link in the description below. Now that the formalities are done, let's look at the part we will work on today, the knee joint. There is a lot we can do here, working with both metal and regular paints. But first, a bit of advice. First of all, always build your kit first. You want to be able to take a good look at it, plan what you will do, check potential issues and more. I would recommend taking some pictures for reference or, in the case of legs and arms, painting one at a time, so you can always have the spare one ready to be checked. What I can see here, for example, is where there is going to be friction. This will scratch the paint and really ruin everything. There are two spots that really worries me, here and here. We will have to sand a bit to create a gap. Now we can disassemble the leg. Use a part separator and be delicate to not ruin the parts. Let's now give a good sanding to create the gap and protect our paint job. Very nice! Now we have a nice gap between the parts and we are ready for the paint job. Now that everything is ready to go, we need to prime. I will be using black for the metal paints and white for the regular ones. As always, no need for a smooth job. A rough surface will help the colors to stick nicely. Apply the black primer when you plan to paint metal and white where you want to use regular colors. And here are our parts ready to go. Let's make sure that the primer is nicely dried and then we can proceed to apply our first base. I suggest using as base a fairly dark metal paint to help all the following detail to really pop. I will be using this titanium frame, it has a shade I really like. Now, metal paints can be a bit tricky. They are composed of two different parts, a black base and then the metal particles. We need to mix them exceptionally well. As I already said in my previous video, using a tool will really simplify your life. It can sometimes happen that the first drops, which were stuck in the bottleneck, could be just black. To be safe, just squeeze out some drops and then get the paint you will be using. It didn't happen this time, but it's a good habit to get used to. Your first coating should be as dry as possible to create a base for the other coatings. Then, keep applying light layers until you get the result you want. You will then have a choice. You can stop before the surface is perfectly even. This will give your frame a kind of weathered effect, which I kind of like, to be honest. Or you can keep going for a smoother finish. I will include the codes of the paints in the description below, so you can identify them easily. I will also leave the invitation link to our new Discord server, where you can ask questions, be updated on what's happening with the channel and talk about your builds with other Gunpla lovers. Do not forget also to like and subscribe for more content. Let's now switch to a lighter metal. I will be using stainless steel, which is pretty light, for screws and pistons. Try to keep your hand as steady as you can while doing this detailing job. If you're having trouble, know that laying your wrist on a bench or any other surface could really help. It will be easy to fix mistakes anyway. As I already mentioned in my previous painting tutorial, starting with the darkest paint and moving progressively to the lightest one helps with all the retouching you will need to do. And now, time for the regular colors. I will try to keep the original color scheme, so I will go with an orange yellow and an armor red. If you're wondering why I'm using an orange yellow instead of a pure one, it's because it gives a much better coverage. Regular yellow is an absolute pain and needs a ton of coatings to become even. It's a bit of the same for the armor red. It is a darker shade of red, and it will require less passes to be even. I also honestly prefer the effect it gives. And these are our parts, almost complete. We just need a bit of panel lining. Time to apply the gloss coat. Pretty straightforward as always. Make sure to cover everything with the slow passes to avoid creating any bubbles. Give it time to dry. Depending on how much you applied and how humid is your environment, it could take up to 30 minutes or, well, even 1 hour. For the panel lining, I will be using a black acrylic filler, easy to use and to clean afterward. Panel lining, it's an absolute must and can really give those details the depth they need. Once it's dry, just remove it with a moist Q-tip. The gloss coating will protect the paint job. Well, I would call this our job well done. Our last step will be top coating. As always, my choice is the Mr. Hobby flat top coat. To be sure, give it an hour to completely dry up. Otherwise, you'll leave a giant fingerprint on your work. Now we can finally assemble our parts and see the result. Ah, well, it looks so much better. And it didn't take so long after all. This way can really elevate a high grade to look so much better and remove that plasticky feeling. I hope you liked the video today and that it can help you out on your customization effort. Thanks for watching and see you soon!